start the run through?
Oh, they're gonna need the lights over there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just pretend it's dress rehearsal. There you go. Yeah.
I can see. Turn it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see.
You and I can see it in mine.
Well, they can turn a classroom light on too. All right.
Welcome to tonight's theatrical presentation. We begin by introducing our cast of characters. Pat Lees, an 11-year-old girl known for disliking peas. Her friend, probably named something weird like Asenath. Her mother, Anna Grace Rose Selzana Lees, who is off stage. Waving hand above the...
Yeah, wave. There we go.
Incredibly handsome and equally offstage father, George Lees. And a narrator to make sense of it all. A makeshift tent in the backyard of the Lees family home at sunset in St. Pete, Florida. The tent is filled with possibly anachronistic sleepover appropriate objects. Sleeping bags, snacks, flashlights. There are no dolls because they were all cruelly burned. And there are no ducks because they were all cruelly eaten by the neighbors. In the fading light of the day's last hour, we can make out 2 sleeping bags. The heads of 2 preteen girls stick out from the top of them, resting on pillows. One of the 2 girls is tossing and turning, uneasy about the numerous uncertainties of the future.
I can't sleep. Why not?
You'll need to turn those crickets down. It's too loud.
I'm thinking about what it's going to be like when we're all grown up. You mean when we first go to college and move away from home or something? No, I mean really old. 30 or 40. That's so far in the future. Just go to sleep.
Millie, I can't see your face.
Where do you want to live when you grow up? I don't know, wherever life takes me. But if you could pick anywhere in the world, it might be nice to live somewhere far off and romantic. Maybe France. They have people with French accents. Those are so romantic. I don't think they have the accents in France. I think they just speak French all the time. I don't know very much French. That might be an inconvenience.
We can't hear you at all. I mean, can't even hear you from here.
You know, now that I think about it, there's really no place as nice as right here in Florida. It's like heaven on earth.
Ambient sound.
George! There's a snake in the house! The weather here is just perfect for the beach. We have such beautiful trees and flowers. It's headed into the dining room. It's longer than I am.
I'll get the hoe!
There are so many interesting animals. What about you? I think it might be nice to live somewhere in Michigan. Michigan? Well, it's also a peninsula. In fact, it's 2 peninsulas. That's twice as many peninsulas as any other state. It's close to Canada, but all those lakes keep it from being too close. And it has a thumb. It's like a big hand waving at you to say hello. During the winter, don't they have a lot of winter? Oh yes, I definitely live on the west side of the state. That's where there's extra lake effect snow. You've never really seemed like the type of snow. You do realize you can't go outside in your swim suit during swimmers, right? That's the whole point. If there's enough snow, the day is canceled, then everyone stays inside and gets to spend the whole day reading books. So you want to live in a state where it's so dangerous that everyone stays inside just to avoid the entire state.
Gotcha!
I like a little adventure in my life, but not too much, you know. Well, I've heard that people in Michigan try to go out in the snow anyway, even if there's 3 or 4 inches of it. They have no sense of self-preservation at all. The whole state is full of lunatics. Do you think we'll ever get married and have husbands? Don't you sleep at night? Men can be useful sometimes, you know. They can reach the plates on the top shelf if you are very short. I'm afraid I might turn out to be very short. My mother is. I don't think that's the primary reason people get married.
Well, what kind of husband would you want then? And what would you do with him?
I guess I want him to be tall and good looking and smart and rich and good at shoveling snow if I had to live there. Ugh. Ish. But down here in Florida, I'm not sure I see any use for a husband at all.
George! The shoe closet is full of scorpions again!
Oh, those little critters come back fast. Must be breeding in the toes of the boots. Shake them all out and I'll squash them.
Well, I want my husband to have a really big head and a big nose, shaped like a sponge, or a cauliflower, and he'd be tall enough to reach dishes when he made me sandwiches. They're not very excitable. Sort of like that butler in the Addams Family comics who's always holding a feather duster. So you want a husband
Turn the
who
mic.
looks like Frankenstein's monster, who is also a butler. Are you all right, Patty?
He'd also quote poetry.
Well, that's at least a little romantic. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove.
No, not that kind of poetry. I mean like random nonsense words from Alice in Wonderland. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wave. All mimsy were the borogroves and the mome raths outgrave.
I don't know what any of that means.
He'd resent for no reason, like when he wakes up in the middle of the night. And when you asked him a question, he always gave a much longer answer than you wanted. Say you wanted to know why the Civil War started. Instead of just saying slavery, he'd spend the next 20 minutes talking about Harper's Ferry and bloody Kansas and the Missouri Compromise. And he wouldn't stop, not even if he fell asleep.
I sure wish I could fall asleep.
That's the last one. Good thing you spotted them before putting on the boots.
If you asked him about theology, he'd start diagramming sentences. In Greek.
Even if you had company over?
Especially if we had company over. For example, if we had you over for dinner, he'd definitely explain to you you've been pronouncing your name wrong your whole life. It's not Asenath, it should be Asenath.
Asenath?
Yes, it's the more authentic Hebrew pronunciation. He also knows Hebrew.
Asenath?
I'm very sorry.
I don't think I like your husband very much. Go to sleep, Patty.
How many babies do you want to have?
How can you think about babies at a time like this? We aren't even teenagers. I don't want babies yet. I haven't even had my first kiss.
I think I either want one or a dozen. I haven't decided which yet. I'm leaning toward a dozen.
If your husband has the genetics for a big head, I don't think you want a dozen babies.
What do you mean?
Look shocked, over the top.
I didn't think that part through. Maybe I better stop once I get 4 kids.
Or better yet, you could just stay here in St. Pete and spend all your days sunbathing at the beach and looking young and beautiful instead of moving to Michigan and making babies with this slitty toes guy. Think of how weird they'd be and how beautiful and perfect it is here.
George! There's another alligator in the bathtub! I think she's laying eggs!
I'll wrestle her out. Bring the garbage can. Be ready to slam the lid shut.
I mean, you can't stop at just one kid. He needs a little friend so he can grow up to be properly socialized. Only children are a little weird, aren't they?
That's certainly been my experience.
I'm already thinking of some good names.
Are these going to be anything like the names you give your pets?
What's wrong with my pet names?
You've had a dog named Bootsy Baby Dolly Doo and a duck named Ducky Woo Woo. I'm not sure what. I want to know what you plan to name your babies.
If I had boys, I'd keep them short and simple. Something like Ed or Jim.
Patty, those are horse names.
Think of all the time I'd save calling them out for dinner. Now, for girls, I'm thinking I could name them Liz and Mary and Beth and Anne.
That's up to 6 already. Maybe you got to merge a few of those together on account of the big heads idea. Oh, I just had the most awful thought. If his nose is big and your nose isn't exactly small either, I bet they'd all look like elephants.
That would be dreadful. But maybe if his nose is round and my nose is skinny, all the children will average out to being completely normal.
I don't think there's any chance of that happening.
Just about lost an arm wrestling her into that can. Mamas sure do love their babies.
How many grandchildren do you want to have?
I don't think we'll ever be old enough to have grandchildren. I plan to stay much younger than that.
Well, I say as many as possible. There's always room for one more, especially since the big heads will be someone else's problem.
Oh no! I found another egg! There
Woo!
are 6 alligator eggs!
Woo!
Please tell me that once all these grandchildren start showing up, you'll finally retire back to Florida.
Oh, I plan to have a husband who wants to travel the world, so it won't matter where I retire, really.
Because you'll be away from home and having wonderful adventures and wait. You aren't planning to go with him, are you? Is this your secret plan to get him out of the house so you can spend weeks at a time indoors reading books?
Maybe.
You're going to stay home and let him see the world without you? You'll get lonely.
I could befriend a chipmunk.
Befriend a chipmunk? Patty, listen to yourself.
But I think you're right. Florida could be a great place to retire. I could come back and live in St. Pete and...
George!
No, I take it back! I love Michigan! I'll stay there forever!
Never mind, George. False alarm.
Good night.
But what about...
No.
Okay,
Woo!
thank you so much to my daughters. Thank you to my siblings.
Take a bow.
You did so
Good
great. You did so
afternoon.
great.